Welcome back to the Viking Today. I'm your cruise director, Heather Clancy, and this is the Viking Today for Monday, August the 19th. A beautiful day ahead of us at sea, ladies and gentlemen. Now remember, those clocks went 1 hour forward between the time we left Poland and our sea day. So do that manually because your phone doesn't know where you are. Some of your phones actually think you're in Spain right now. So do make sure to do that manually. Set those clocks forward after you've retired for the evening, after your day in Poland, and before our sea day. If you're up bright and early, you might want to join us for a Pilates class down in the Live Nordic Spa. Then, of course, we've got a service club get-together in the living room. Whether you're a Rotarian, a Lion, any of those service clubs, get together with like-minded guests and enjoy a little cup of coffee in the living room down on deck 1. We're also going to have a little Mahjong players get together, card players get together. So Mahjong over in Manfredi's, card players over in the chef's table. Then at 9:30, we're going to begin our enrichment lecture series with Miroslav Dmitrievich. Miroslav, of course, is our Russian expert on board. And today he's going to be talking about Carl Fabergé and the jeweler, the court jeweler to the Romanovs. This is a brilliant subject, and Miroslav does an excellent job with this lecture. So join us at 9:30 for the life of this very famous jeweler and those brilliant Fabergé eggs and what they meant to the Romanovs. Then we're going to have a veterans get-together, a little coffee get-together up here in the Winter Garden. Mike Stone, your Viking resident historian, will be acting as host. We had a good get-together the other day. So whether you are active duty or retired, do come and join us for a veterans get-together. We've got a golf putting challenge up on the sports deck, and then at 11 o'clock, Mike is going to be in the Star Theater to talk all about Imperial Russia. Now, somehow, he is going to get you the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries of Imperial Russia covered in 45 minutes or so. Again, that's going to be at 11 o'clock in the Star Theater. Then stay in the Star Theater for Team Trivia starting at noon with your Assistant Cruise Director, Ian. Teams of up to 6. Remember, there are no points and absolutely nothing matters. It's just a bunch of fun. After all, trivia is only a game. Then we've got a basic dance class. Salsa will be the lesson, and I believe Maria from the Viking Vocalist is going to be teaching this. That will be taking place in Torshavn. 1 o'clock, we've got a Q&A roundtable with Mike Stone. We're going to talk about artifacts and talk about the past and technology. Now, I sat down with Mike a little earlier to talk about the roundtable discussion, so you might want to go back and watch the Viking Daily about that from the previous days, but a great roundtable discussion. Usually it's about 30 people or so just to discuss these sort of things. That'll be in the cinema on the port side. While you are enjoying the ship today, I hope you'll take a moment to enjoy the beautiful collection of art that we have on board. We have a Nordic art collection on board. Not only the framed art that you see, but the art that's all around you. For instance, what's behind me, this panel here, indicative of a beautiful art exhibition that was in a garden in Oslo. The Winter Garden itself is full of architectural details that are art and sculpture itself. So take advantage of the Viking Art Guide and the Nordic art that we have on board. The art guide is available either digitally or you can use the paper as well. How about if we take a moment and find out a little bit more about the art on board?
Like all travelers, no matter how far our journeys take us, we like to remember where we came from. And that's why, while our onboard experiences are inspired by our many destinations, our onboard art is very much an honor to our Nordic heritage. We have carefully selected a diverse spectrum of work by established as well as up-and-coming artists. Most of them are Norwegian, and this is to complement and enhance the light-filled Nordic influence interiors of Viking ships. The works of art you will see throughout the ship cover a variety of media and approaches, from digital to print, from oil paintings to photography and sculpture. The pieces have been handpicked for the depth with which they reflect our origins and the beauty with which they capture our magnificent nature. I hope you enjoy these works of art, which I really think reflect the spirit of our motherland, Norway.
We have a wine tasting at 2 o'clock in Manfredi's with our sommelier. You do need to sign up in advance with guest services. Then at 2:30, Sharon Hudgens will be in the Star Theater, and we're going to talk about urban life in Russia. We're going to go from log cabins to high rises, something to get you well prepared for the things you're going to be seeing in St. Petersburg. One thing you're going to notice in St. Petersburg with the architecture is the stark difference between the imperial and the post-revolution architecture. So we go from very opulent to very stark, and I think you'll enjoy this lecture to get you ready for your time in St. Petersburg. 4 o'clock, we're going to talk all about Tallinn, Estonia, one of my favorite ports of call in the world. So join me for the history, the heritage, and the culture. Then we'll dig into those shore excursions you'll enjoy and some more practical information for getting out and about. We have a martini tasting at 4 o'clock. Again, you need to sign up with our guest services desk. And then something I'm very excited about, ladies and gentlemen, at 5:15, we're going to have a book reading. This is a beautiful book called Circus of the Queens, and the author is on board sailing with us. Audrey Berger Welz is on board, and this book is set in St. Petersburg right before the turn of the century, right as the revolution is happening, and we're going to talk about these beautiful characters and how St. Petersburg, how the revolution changed their lives and put them on a new path. I sat down with Audrey for a few moments just to talk about the book and talk about her life and what's brought her here. One of the things I'm very excited about today at 5:15 in the Star Theater, we're going to have a book reading from Audrey Berger Welz. Audrey, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm so honored and excited to be here. You have no idea.
Well, I have been devouring this book. I'm about a third of the way through. It is an incredible story, but before we get to that, I want to get to the story of how this book came about. You have had a remarkable journey in the last few years.
Yes, I have.
Early onset Parkinson's diagnosis, and then a traumatizing aneurysm.
Yes.
When you were brought in to the emergency room, we were just talking to Gary, your husband, and he was trying to make things simple for the doctors and said, oh, she's unemployed. What does she do? She's unemployed. And your answer was?
My answer was, I wouldn't take that. Even if I was going to die, it was not going to be the last thing people heard about me. I sat up in the gurney and I said, I am not unemployed. I am an author. I wrote a book. And then I passed out and no one heard from me again for about a month.
For 21 days you were in a coma.
Yes.
And they truly did not expect you to survive this.
Not at all. When I talked to the claims manager from my health insurance company, she started to cry. And I said, why are you crying? She said, because I've never spoken to someone who's gone through what you've gone through. I've only spoken to their heirs. And I was given less than a 1% chance of surviving. But it was amazing. I was very aware of things that I don't think that anybody thinks that you should be aware of in that kind of condition. I knew when, at one point, everything was getting chaotic and people were freaking out all around me. I think it's probably one of the times when my heart stopped. I'm not real sure because I wasn't really all there, but I felt like I had to calm myself down too. It's like, if you don't calm down, you're going to die. And I started doing breathing exercises that I learned from singing for years, and same exercise with yoga. And it's amazing how things that you've done in your life kick in on this subliminal level.
And you say you were cognitive of what was going on around you, and
wouldn't say I was cognitive because I didn't know. I mean, I thought I was when I woke up. I thought I was an 18-year-old girl living under a vegetable stand in Chelsea, and and the cartel was after me. You know, it was, but I remember all what I call them dreams that I had during that time, you know, and I got strength from, you know, different areas in my life that I never would have thought I would be tapping into in that sort of way.
Absolutely. Was it the diagnosis of early onset Parkinson's that really kicked you into gear with the writing?
I felt like now was the time for
If not
everything.
now, when?
If you had quit, either do it or shut up about it.
Wait, does that mean I have to go to the gym, Audrey?
Yes, it does. I'm real excited. I'm swimming now and doing laps, and I had to teach. I'm still teaching myself to walk, you know, because
All from the aftermath of the aneurysm.
yes,
My goodness. Now, you said in a blog post that I read, you were doing a guest blog post, that while you were in the coma, you saw Circus of the Queens
I
unfold
did.
itself.
It was part of. I had been working on this book for a number of years. I never thought that I could write this many words, let alone write something that would tell a beautiful story. And I was almost finished with it when the aneurysm happened. And I had to finish it. I had to see it in print. I wanted to touch it and feel it and know that I had left my mark on the world. And you know, it was something that was so important to me. I wanted the doctors to know that I was still alive too. I felt like I was in a box. I saw Circus of the Queens. It was in a triangle, surrounded by a circle, encompassed by a square. And I could read it word for word as if I were
As if you were reading it.
as if I was reading it from my computer. And it was, I wanted the doctors to feel or know that I was the same person, that I was still alive. You couldn't talk to me, you couldn't, you know, I had no idea I had feeding tubes down me. You know, I sat there and in my head I was singing concerts to people, you know.
It's amazing. It is amazing how much thought was going on for you and how much was being laid out for you while you were in this coma. I want to talk very briefly about the main character in the book.
Donatella.
Donatalia in the
Well,
Russian?
it gets a little bit confusing because she was Donatalia, is how she was christened Donatalia, but when she becomes part of the circus, she becomes Donatella.
Now, Donatalia, when she's growing up in St. Petersburg, her life is laid out for her.
Yeah,
She is
she's-
going to be a Russian ballerina like her
Right.
mother.
Right, and she meets like Anna Pavlova. I did all this research on, which is exciting, that we're going to be going to the Russian ballet while we're here. I can't believe
Going to
it.
see the Mariinsky Ballet.
I can't believe that I'm here. I mean, truthfully, I mean,
I love that you have incorporated historical figures in there. Marius Petipa,
Marius Petipa, Agrippina Vagnova.
all of these
Anna
wonderful figures
Pavlova.
in the Russian ballet world.
Yeah, I did a tremendous amount of research.
And then we come to the Russian Revolution.
Yeah,
Now, her father, being elevated and a man of the textile industries, obviously is going to be affected very much by the
Yes.
Russian Revolution.
yes.
And he sends her away to America.
Yes, he does. He sends her to go live with an old family friend whose best friend has a dog named Woof Woof. I love it. I don't know where this stuff came from in some of it.
Well, you know, I actually have been interested as I'm reading it and knowing your story, how many parallels there are She did everything she was supposed to. She learned French. She went to ballet school. She was very talented. But then because of the circumstances, things that were far out of her control, the Russian Revolution,
Right.
her life completely changed. I don't want to give
Right.
away a lot of what happened.
Well, I think it's very akin to what's been happening in the world forever, and that things haven't changed all that much.
No.
It's like this is about immigration and family and people being torn apart and having to find a way when your whole world is lost, how to build new dreams and how to try to catch them.
Absolutely. One thing that has really spoken to me is the women who have shaped Donatalia. In chapter 17, the way that you started, I love this. All of the women in my life have left their mark. Irina acquainted me with many abilities that up until that point I had been unaware of. She said, "You've always been spinning too fast and only focused on one thing, dance. Your accident," she continued, "allowed you, no, forced you to discover your truest nature. Someday you might even be thankful that a situation arose that made you examine the deepest part of yourself." I have to think that that is your story as well.
It is. I didn't know. I don't know where all these thoughts and words came from. I go back and I'm amazed at times when I read it. And Gary and I, my husband, we would do these little tests when I was writing the book, and we would pick a page. I'd say, "Give me a number," and he'd say 96, and we'd turn to page 96, and we would read the page, and we'd see if it made us laugh or cry, or if it brought out some sort of emotion. What did it do for us? Did it pass the test? And then we go 125. We do just 1 or 2 pages a night.
It truly is amazing to me. Now, another thing that is very interesting to me are the characters of Bess and
Yes,
Emily,
yes.
the two elephants.
They're
but
wonderful.
Bess and Emily had a different beginning. They started
both.
as a children's book.
Emily and Bess were, when I first started writing, I thought, I'll try and write a couple children's books. That should be easy. I spent 2 to 3 years writing books that are just in my computer, and the only people who have seen them and heard them are my husband, Gary. And it was, I realized it was really hard. I thought it'd be easy because there are not that many words, but it's not easy to tell a great story in 500 words.
No.
So
My niece's favorite children's book is Cows Going Past. Cows Going Past.
Yeah.
Fast. So,
yeah. So
but
but Emily and Bess I've always been an animal lover. I came from a father who brought home stray animals, and we gave them a home. And Emily, and I've loved stories of elephants and how they are with one another and how they communicate with each other, the affection that they have and the affection that they show, and the mourning that they feel when there's loss. And I thought it was, sometimes people can understand something about humans better when it comes to them from animals.
well, and Emily and Bess become the keeper of secrets.
Yeah, they do. They become, they're really the heart of this story.
I'm starting to get to that point
Yeah,
in the book. 'Cause
yeah.
like I said, I'm about a third of the way through. You said something when you woke up from your coma to your sister. Well, your sister said something to you when you were in your coma.
Yes,
Will you share that with us?
sure. I'm an open book these days myself. My sister, I was in a coma for 21 days, and my sister was there at the hospital talking to me, and she didn't know if I would be able to ever hear her or have any cognitive remembrance of what went on. And when she came back to visit me, when I came out of the coma, she was just curious if I understood or could hear what she was saying. She said, "Do you remember what I said to you when you were in a coma?" And I said, "Yes," and her face just went, full of strength. "You can? They said that you wouldn't be able to remember. That you told me I was Lou Berger's daughter, and by God I could do anything." And his energy was with me at different times. One time I was in a 57 Thunderbird convertible, and in front of me was life and death in light bulbs lit up, and I was questioning where I was supposed to go, and I could hear my father in the background. "You've always known where you should go. There's no question here. It's like you've always gravitated towards life, and that's where you go." And that's where I went.
And I think the same thing for Natalia.
Thank you.
God,
Yes.
she was her mother's daughter.
Yes.
And sometimes she had to go away to realize that she did know what the answers always were.
It's really, I feel embarrassed saying that I think it's a really beautiful book.
It is a beautiful book.
But I do really think that.
I agree with you.
Really,
like I said, I have absolutely devoured it. At different points in all of our lives, no matter if it's because of a medical issue or circumstances that life throws at us, we are taken off of the path that we thought we were going to be on.
It's a human experience.
There is something that you said in the book that I absolutely love. This is Mrs. Butler. This is also a former Russian. Mary. She's,
married to a Southern colonel.
Married to a Southern colonel, yes. Yeah. But she says to our main character, she says to Donatalia, kind of to kick her in the pants a little bit, I think, "You are no longer destined to become a prima ballerina, but that doesn't mean you cannot dance at all. Donatalia, there is something else out there for you to love." I love that.
Thank you. It's great to hear what other people get from it, and which, I've got certain sentences and phrases that are some of my favorites, and there's enough there for there to be favorites for everyone.
Absolutely. There's a lot of great gems in here. We are going to do a couple of readings from the book tomorrow at 5:15 in the Star Theater. I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more as well, and maybe we can talk a little bit as well about the music therapy and how that has manifested itself in your life.
Yes.
And we'll do that maybe tomorrow.
Thank you
so
much.
This book is available. We have some copies available in the Nordic Boutique, located on Deck 2. Also, it's available on Amazon and on Nook, I think, has it as well.
It's distributed through Publishers Group West.
Absolutely.
So Ingram.
Lots of places to get it from.
You can get it anywhere in the world.
But it is absolutely incredible. We'll delve a little bit more into it, and we're going to talk a little bit more about St. Petersburg and all that. We'll discuss that tomorrow. So join us in the Star Theater at 5:15.
Thank you.
Rounding out the day, our Viking resident astronomer, Professor Chris Welch, is back in the Star Theater tonight talking about black sky thinking. We're going to talk about how entrepreneurs have found very innovative ways to profit from space science and technology. So again, 6:30 in the Star Theater. Then, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you will join me in the Star Theater tonight. I'm going to be presenting you a concert of my own with your wonderful Viking band, Ocean Groove. We're going to be taking you from the bright lights of Broadway all the way to the dramatic music of Puccini and Verdi. It'll be about 200 years of music wrapped up in about 45, 50 minutes, and I think there'll be something for everyone. There's a great deal of comedy. Anna Russell was a big influence on me. Many of you will say, but I don't like opera. How do you know? You don't know what they're talking about. So I'm going to give you the inside scoop on what's happening behind the scenes, what's happening on the stage, so that you can enjoy opera a little more. But again, we're going to have some Broadway. We might even throw some Motown in. You never know. We might get wild. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for me. Have a beautiful day, whatever you decide to do. I'll look forward to seeing you all around the ship.